Listen, we killing a little bit of time. I'm excited about this guest that we got coming on. I'm especially excited for Mr. Zittel over here. I hope this thing really kind of becomes what I think it is gonna be. So
that's his cousin.
No, he's played
from Brooklyn.
He played the greatest Italian fighter of all time.
X.
Yeah, Willie Pep. So
From Brooklyn.
From Brooklyn.
So,
from
we got coming to the PorterWay Podcast. I'm gonna do this for you real quick. There's a film that has just come out, The Featherweight, based on Willie Pep's career. Willie Pep, if you don't know, is the winningest professional boxer in history. Okay, 229 wins.
229, 11 and 1, 65 knockouts.
65 knockouts. Wow.
Two-time
229, 11
and
1.
Yeah.
229.
At one point, he was something like 130 and 1. So in his prime.
Yeah.
So in his prime, 130 wins, 1 loss, something like that. Because, a
Wow.
lot of those losses, those 11 losses, like Ray Robinson, came late.
Yeah.
Late in their career. Yeah.
And I know we talked about some of this. We'll talk about it with James too, because I really want his perspective. A big boxing fan, right? So I think for a big boxing fan to have the opportunity to do a boxing film, from my experience, has been whatever it is you're big about, passionate about, when you have an opportunity to portray that on film, a lot of actors look forward to opportunities like that. So we want to welcome to the PorterWay Podcast, fantastic actor, great friend of mine, James Madio. What's happening, Mr. Pep?
What's happening, gentlemen? Thank you so much for having me, man. It's exciting.
Are you still Willie, or you back to being James?
I'm back to being James. I have to be back to being James because I think my wife would rather me be James. But, it's taken a long time to get this film made, so all she's been hearing is Willie this and Willie that, and just trying to get his mannerisms and who he is. But yeah, I'm back to being James.
How long did it take for this film to get produced?
It took a while, man. I mean, we've had some ups and downs, lefts and rights, stop and goes. We had COVID. We had a union went on strike. We had big production. We had little production. We had different directors. But in short, man, Sean, I'd say 10, 12 years, man. No joke. When we first started this, I was in my early 30s. So we were thinking about doing this film and tracking Willie from his early 20s into like his 30s, into his 40s, and going through everything in his career. So this 3-decade film. And there's only like 3 directors that can do films that take place over 3 decades. And that's like Spielberg, Coppola, and, who else? Lucas. Like, just the best can do that. No one was going to do a movie over 3 decades of Willie Pep with James Madio as the lead. So we sort of tailored it down to this faux doc independent style. It's like a new approach to the genre of boxing. And we fell upon this new approach, and it kind of just hit, man. It hit. We fell upon Willie, and this film falls upon Willie in 1965 in his comeback when he was broke. He's on his 4th wife, back living with his mom. He was already retired, had no money, owed money to like the mob. His son was a drug addict. His father was passing away. And think of it as, let's say, ESPN in 1965 knocked on Willie Pep's door in Hartford, Connecticut and said, "Hey, Willie, we want to do a story on you. Where are you now?" And Willie, being like lost or whatever, not knowing, just the cameras being on him again, the spotlight being on him again, was like, "Sure, man, follow me around." And then you realize he's down in the dumps and he wants to make a comeback. And in 1965, the New York Times top 10 human interest story was Willie Pep's comeback. So we started there, and we flashed back to his greatness, when he was younger, with some found footage and archive footage. It's pretty cool, man. It's a pretty cool approach. I think that's why some of the cinephiles and some of these major festivals have sort of responded to it.
Yeah, I'm gonna simply say this. You just described the film. I've seen quite a bit of footage from you. Based on what you described and what I've seen, this is a phenomenal film. I'm not just saying this because he's my friend. I'm not just saying this because this is Willie Pep. It's a phenomenal film. Like, as he was describing it, I was remembering what he showed me, and it's like in my heart. I remember this. It hits. This is one that hits.
Yeah, it's different, man. It's different. We're all proud of it. I'm proud of all the creatives. We had this great young director, Robert Kolodny. We had great producers, writers. cinematographers. And, filmmaking is tough. You guys know what tough is. I mean, you're a world champion. You know what real tough is. Filmmaking and doing it for a career and stability and all that. It's really, really hard. And it takes like lightning in a bottle. Everybody in all their departments need to rise up and do what they got to do in order to hit this. And and they did, man. I was well protected by everybody. I was trained by Scully and the guys at Cobra Gym out there in Hartford. And, they tried to do their best for me to emulate Willie. No one could ever emulate Willie. I mean, if I could really do what Willie did, I'd quit acting and start fighting again. So not again. I mean, fight. But we had a good team of creatives around us, all young up and comers who were gifted. So yeah, man, really, really cool flick. Really cool flick.
How was the gym process? The sparring, the hitting the bags. How was that? Have you done that before?
How you doing? Bronx boy in the house, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And he's got the right jersey on too, my man.
Oh yeah. Go Knicks, right?
Number one, bro. I was
right.
He's Brooklyn too.
Yeah.
He's Brooklyn too.
Yeah. So yeah.
Bensonhurst.
The training was interesting because you learn as you go. And first off, I'm speaking to you. I mean, you know what real training is, Sean. So forgive me if this comes off like
I'm the only one that know what real training.
So for years trying to get this made, I could only do what I could handle, this independent filmmaking. We didn't have the money to get the high-end trainers. We didn't have the money to put me into the gym. I didn't have a nutritionist. I didn't, have a trainer. I didn't have memberships. I didn't have any. I didn't have the equipment and all that shit. But so over 10 years, I did what I could control, which was road work, right?
Okay.
Skipping rope, hitting a speed bag. I did the heavy bag a little bit, but Willie wasn't a heavy bag guy unless he was trying combinations. And I did that repeatedly over the years. So when it came time to train, like really get in the trenches, and we had the budget to sort of pay somebody and put me in a certain hotel and pay for the training, I had like 6 weeks. I was already in shape, but I had 6 weeks to get to know the real physicality from it. So physically, I was ready. You know what it was more than anything, Sean? I wish I'd known for 10 years that the key to me looking good on that screen, even though the speed bag looks good, the jump rope, all that looks fantastic, looks sexy and all that, I wish I would have sparred for 10 years.
Oh.
I realized once we got in those rings and we had a choreograph to fight in,
wow,
what was happening with me, and Willie's got that triple jab, he's got that sidestep, he's got that spin, he's got so many signature moves. We work on those signature moves. In a ring, when you're sparring and trying to be somebody else rather than when your instincts are telling you, difficult as hell, man, because I'm playing someone who's got signature moves. Me, you put me in a ring, I got that old school, I'll push up against the ropes and I'm Mexican style. I'm not you, Sean, but I want to get in the mix. Willie's defense, triple jab deep, and it was wasn't characteristic of who I am. So I found that difficult. And I thought, and I said to myself, I should have been sparring like Willie for 10 years.
Wow.
Go ahead. Man, well, James, como estai? Salud on the film, man. Watching the trailer, I could be pretty cynical these days. I kind of have that attitude towards Hollywood and the movies now, like Martin Scorsese. It's not what it was and all that kind of stuff. But immediately the trailer was gripping. Like you look like Willie Pep in the trailer. It just looks like a good movie. And a lot of these biographical films, they could be kind of formulaic. And this one just looks good. I'm gonna be watching it ASAP with my wife. So congrats on the movie first. But Sean started the interview by asking you, are you James again or are you Willie? Do you do are you a method actor like De Niro and Pacino and those guys? And like Jack Nicholson told Heath Ledger, hey, don't play the Joker because you got to go to a certain place that's hard to come out of when you get ready for the role. Can you just kind of talk about that stuff, James?
Yeah, that's a good question. Because I was so close to Willie in a sense of who he was physically, and then you got his culture, the Italian-American culture, you got the East Coast vibe, and the stature vibe. Like I was picked on quite a bit. I had to fight in the streets. I was always throwing my hands with people picking on me and stuff. So Willie's background was that he was that guy, and people took notice of him fighting on the street and threw him in a gym. And as a kid, that's what happened to me. I went into a gym, in Morris Park in the Bronx, New York, the Guardia's gym. And but I was young, and I got my ass kicked immediately in there. And I came home, and my mother saw my face all swollen, and she said, "You're gonna look ugly your whole life," is what she said. And I stopped fighting. But as far as your question, because of everything I just said, I could lean in and gravitate a little more of a method for that specific role. Yeah, and for how long it took us to make this and to stop and go so many times, I didn't want to pull out of it. So on set, I stayed Willie. People decided to call me Willie. I didn't ask him to. We shot in Hartford, Connecticut, where Willie's from. So a lot of people knew him. We were in the social clubs that knew him. We were in the diners, the places he ate, the barber, the coffee shop. They all had Willie Pep stories, and they would look at me dressed up as Willie, and they would go, "Oh my God, you look like Willie," and they'd have a Willie story. And so you felt like you were Willie, and deep entrenched in who he was. So much so, and I know it sounds silly to people, is Willie was a guy, these boxers, their hands are always fresh and moving. They don't stop. They tap. They're always moving. It's just that they have to stay. And Willie was fidgety, man, always fidgety. And until he got older. But when I came home, we were finally wrapped. I went up to my wife, and I think it was like a day or two later, I was home after the film, and I kind of just gave her like some little lovey jabs to the belly, and she was like, "No, that's done. You're done with it." I was like, "Oh shit, sorry, babe." I was like, "You're right. I'm sorry." So I'm not method, but that role put me into method because of the psychology of it all, I guess.
Yeah, it's just I think it's hard. What I love about the movie being made is Rocky Marciano being 49-0 as a heavyweight champion. I think is looked upon as the greatest or the most beloved Italian fighter. Italian American fighter.
Right.
But I think Willie Pep, without question, is the greatest Italian American fighter.
Right.
The movie's called The Featherweight. I mean, he was voted at the end of the 20th century as the greatest featherweight in boxing history. And you're a boxing guy too, right, James? Like, are you happy that Willie's getting some shine through this biographical film and beyond just your, typical biographical film? Why do you think it's important for people to check this movie out, especially boxing fans?
Yeah, right. That's a great question, and one that we all struggled with trying to get the movie made, which is people going, "Well, why Willie Pep?" And ours is, look, it's the greatest story never told. Why, as every boxing aficionado, someone who knows boxing, ranked this guy in the top 5 of all time. Like you said earlier, 135-1. He won his first 65 fights and decided to, move up, and he lost the fight and came back down and won another 70-something. He broke his back in a plane crash when he was champion of the world. He turned down a $500,000 insurance policy at that time from Lou Viscusi, who had an insurance policy on him, and said, "I'll fight again," and won another 100 fights. 6 wives, owed money to the mafia, hung out with like Babe Ruth and Jackie Gleason and all this stuff. And his story I just found remarkable. And why didn't I know about this guy shocked me. And then that's when I said the world needs to know about Willie Pep and who he is. And the background of Willie, right? Why is he forgotten this fighter? He didn't draw blood, man. People go to the fights for blood, and Willie says that in the movie. He says it right. He says, "Look, people go to the fights. They want to see the heavyweights. They want to see the blood. They want to see the knockouts." I didn't give him that. I would drag a guy 15 rounds if I knew he had to feed his family, because he'd get another fight because he went 15 rounds with the great Willie Pep. Why am I going to knock this guy down in 1 or 2 rounds? His career's done. He goes, "I take him the distance so he gets another few fights to feed his family." Now, if you were a jerk in the ring, he'd light you up. Right? I mean, obviously. But, he met his match a few times. Sadler took him, Sadler beat him down a few times. Willie, I always thought was, because he was so great defensively. And, I think it was Bert Sugar who said, you couldn't hit him in the ass with a handful of rice. And Bert Sugar just loved him. Angelo Dundee loved him. Before Angelo passed away, I flew down to Tampa Bay to meet Angelo and talk to Angelo about him because Angelo really, really adored him. But it's just who the guy was. I just found him fascinating. I found his background, his love interest, the fact that this man would married so many times to women that were 15, 20 years younger than him each time. And each time they took the house and took the money and he had to restart again financially. Jeez. It was just really fascinating to me, his whole story. So, we try and put all that in there and his relationship with his father and his son the whole time. So, that's in short, that's why I gravitated to him. I just felt like I needed to tell this man's story. My father, old school Italian-American guy, boxing fan, he just called me one day and said, "Hey, Jim, look up this fighter," because we're both boxing fans. And I said, "Dad, look, man, I'm busy." He goes, "Just look him up." And I looked him up and I said, "Oh, this guy looks like me a little bit when I was a little younger." And then I saw all this information on him and I said, "I got to make this guy's movie." And that's when it all started.
Oh, man. I love it. James, we're going to show the trailer, the piece of the film real quick. Let's go ahead and show that. Hey.
Pep is in trouble, and so is his record of 73 wins in a row coming into this contest. Pep is down! Pep is down! Sadler has delivered the first knockdown of Pep's career.
Hey, congratulations. Finally, you've been knocked down. Welcome to the club. Didn't think it was never going to happen. Kid's a good fighter. But don't forget you're the champ. Don't forget that, and don't you let him forget it either, all right? Come on. Show me Willie Pep. Come on, champ.
Fantastic, man. I'm looking forward to seeing it. Tell everybody what film awards, what festivals you guys were at and won, and tell everybody where they can catch this film at, please.
Yeah, so we were fortunate, extremely fortunate, and all pleased that we had a world premiere at Venice Film Festival. So you can imagine for a small independent American film, it's incredibly difficult to even get acknowledged by them. So to go there and premiere there worldwide was an honor for us. Tribeca Films picked it up. And we just distributed on Amazon, Apple, Fandango, Google Play, everywhere pretty much. Beautiful. You can find the film. And then obviously once the video on demand, which is sort of the pay or play, is done, it'll probably get its run on a Netflix or Hulu as well in months later, after it does its run. But yeah, it's doing very, very well right now. We've gotten great reviews from the New Yorker, from Variety, the Hollywood Reporter. So we're all incredibly happy where we are and what we've accomplished. We didn't think we'd come this far, but as Willie Pep always said, man, you gotta keep punching. That's all he said. Keep punching, keep punching, keep punching.